and we will be going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop.
Insurance rates skyrocketing, especially over in California.
Yeah, so if you guys aren't already aware or you haven't checked your insurance policies here in the state of Oklahoma, a lot of the policies that I've called out or dealt with people on, particularly if you're out in the country, have gone up about 40%. So your homeowners policies are probably shooting up 40 to 30% here in the state of Oklahoma due to the cost of inflation. We're still catching up to inflation. So your policy has been going up every year since COVID, but now it's really going up because they're hemorrhaging. The insurance monies are hemorrhaging money because, you could have your same policy and it could be insured at that rate, but you wouldn't be getting the same house. You'd be getting a smaller house built back up. And that's what they're doing. They're making sure they can rebuild the houses in this modern market with that amount of money. So a lot of people are like, there's the problem with people that buy insurance. All of them think the same thing. Go, I'm not doing anything wrong. I didn't file any claims. I didn't have any wrecks. It doesn't matter. Your money is all pulled together in the same funds. And a percentage of all those funds have to go to pay the employees, have to go and pay the CEOs, have to go and pay the shareholders, and the rest of that money is pulled in there to pay off the losses that someone suffers in an event like a tornado or, a hailstorm. And, in auto insurance, it's a case of auto wrecks. But like I said, this is particularly homeowners. So we're really specifically talking about homeowners rates right now. So, but yeah, if a wildfire takes your house, somebody in your neighborhood or in your same book of business as you has a claim on their home, all of your money that you paid in is going to fix that. So that money doesn't exist inside there anymore. So then the money you keep paying in pays for it. And if there's a boatload of claims in that particular area that year, that zip code, your rates are going to go up regardless of whether or not you had an incident. So think about that for a minute. Now, here in the state of Oklahoma, they're still doing business here. So the big point of this whole article is that in California, State Farm and Allstate, two of the biggest insurance companies in the world, have said, let us raise insurance rates in the state of California, or we're leaving the state, or we're no longer going to write policies for homeowners in this state. And it doesn't look like California's ready to budge. So why don't you play this video real quick, Chad, and we'll kind of come and speak on it on the tail end of it. It's a local California news
You got it.
clip.
Sorry. More insurance companies plan not to renew policies for California homeowners. The changes start next year and involve 4 specific companies. They are Maristar, Unitrend Auto and Home Insurance, Unitrend Direct Property and Casualty, and Kemper Independence. Kemper says it will stop selling homeowners and auto policies as a strategic move to fit in with its long-term goals. State Farm and Allstate announced earlier this year that they would stop accepting insurance applications for all businesses and personal property in our state. They cited increased costs and the risk of natural disasters, particularly wildfires.
There you go. So that's what's happening right now. What you're looking at is, I don't know what kind of deals the insurance bureau or the insurance, the elected insurance official has there. Like every state has its own insurance,
Bureau.
And it has a representative who is in charge of all of it. So I don't know. He must have a way, or he must have passed legislation that basically said insurance companies can't raise rates in the state unless we approve, or something along those lines. Because why are they asking permission? Like, why is State Farm and Allstate asking permissions to raise their insurance rate by 50%? They didn't ask anybody in Oklahoma if they could. They just did it. So this is what happens when you overregulate businesses. California has overregulated insurance, and they couldn't adjust those rates slowly over time. It's just going to be a 50% increase, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt everyday people in California, especially responsible homeowners. This is how you make a class of permanently poor people. This is how you destroy the middle class. Insurance is for the middle class. It's not for the ultra wealthy.
Yeah, insurance has always been for the middle class. It has not been for the ultra wealthy because they can afford to go out and buy a brand new car after a wreck or fix their car that they like after a wreck. And it's not for poor people because poor people are struggling to fight for whatever scraps that they have. So it's for that average middle-class American that's like, I like my car, and I couldn't afford to get a new one if somebody wrecked into me tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's who it's for.
So this is the deal. Homeowners are going to suffer for this. And Allstate and State Farm is the largest insurance company in not only in America, but in the world. Like, it's not even an American company. Like, if you're doing business with State Farm, they're not an American company. Why do you think they hire celebrities to do all their endorsements? They have Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce in there, as well as several others.
Yeah.
But that's where their marketing stuff and where most of their money's going to. It's going to pay these celebrities these $1 million endorsements to do a 2-minute infomercial about State Farm, or a funny little clip commercial of State Farm.
Yeah. And think about that. The second other one is Allstate, and what do they have as their mascot? I mean,
Mayhem.
They had Mayhem, and then Dennis Haysbrook.
And he's gone.
Exactly, but Dennis Haysbrook isn't exactly an A-list, celebrity.
Yeah, maybe back in the 90s and 80s, but even then he was only moderately famous.
Exactly.
And, Mayhem is an actual actor, but he's not a famous actor. He is like B-tier, C-tier actor. Like, he does TV shows every now and then.
Yeah, I think he was in John Wick, one of them.
Yeah.
He was in the first one.
No, like a minor role.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where the vast majority of State Farm's money, and like I said, they're not an American company. Allstate is actually an American company. It was founded in Chicago during the Great Depression. State Farm was not. State Farm is, even if they were founded here in the U.S., they are owned by folks overseas. So there's a big reason why they make the moves that they make and why they're able to do the things that they do. Regardless, it's irrelevant to the entire crux of this argument. I mean, everyday people are going to hurt because of this. Homeowners are going to hurt. I was talking to a guy, so I'll preface the story. I was doing a quote for a person, and they said that I am looking for insurance. I live in a very large, wealthy home here in the Owasso area, and the insurance company I'm currently with only allows people of a certain tax bracket to be allowed to have insurance. That they only write people of a certain income bracket. So, because all the studies they've shown is that super, super wealthy people have less wrecks and file less claims. So, his insurance company, I guess they had a bunch of people on the coasts suffer a lot of losses. So his rates started going up with this particular company, and then I quoted him. He was like going, yeah, no, that's still too high for me. So the wealthy are not going to suffer because, again, they have their own insurance companies that only reach out to people. Imagine if you knew what the income of somebody was. You were an insurance company. You go, these are all people who make over $1 million a year or over $4 million a year. These are the people that we're going to write. And we're only going to write these people. You don't have poor people don't have access to this company. So companies like that will still do business in the state. So the ultra wealthy aren't going to be insured with State Farm. The ultra wealthy aren't going to be insured with Allstate. The Allstate and State Farm are companies built for average Joe citizens like you and I. So that's what we're talking about here. That's what you're looking at. This is going to hurt them. And the fact that they're going to raise rates 50%, that's going to affect... California's already one of the most expensive states to live in. Your gas is expensive. They're going to tax you for driving your EV cars now. So Another 50% of your, whatever you pay now, it's probably artificially kept low, but I imagine it's probably similar rate. Well, I don't know, because every time a person from California moves here, they go, my rates are what?
Yeah.
Because I quote people all the time, and everybody from California is just absolutely decimated by Oklahoma insurance rates. They're
home policies especially.
Yeah, they're like, how can you do this to us? How can you charge that much?
Well, now they're going to know what it's like to live in Oklahoma with all those forest fires finally catching back up with them.
Yeah, so, it's crazy. State Farm is the largest dog at the table when it comes to the insurance business. So the fact that they're leaving and not renewing people's policies in California, millions of people are going to be hurt. Now, is it going to create opportunities for other companies? Sure, but if the two largest insurance companies in the nation are going to drop out of that and they're no longer going to have skin in the game there, it will hurt. And they're going to be paying, even if they're not going to do insurance business there anymore, there's not going to be as much competition, so you're going to be paying significantly larger rates anyway. Because it's like, well, you can't write with anybody else besides us, so we're going to charge you whatever we want.
Yep. 100%. And it's the same issue as like with the forest fire situation, is it's poor state maintenance of national parks and all their forest areas. Like, they don't allow controlled burns.
They don't.
Controlled burns are what keep wildfires from happening. It's getting rid of all that undergrowth and brush that just turns into a huge mess that isn't even an eyesore. You can't go hiking through, that type of heavy brush. Well, with the California policies not making it to where you can't control vegetation, they brought this on themselves. And the reason, and this is one of the other situations of like what you want to call it, like a forest registration acts and other government and federal policies being passed, coming back and biting the average American on the back end eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's mismanagements of forests. Like they stated, climate change was an issue for them leaving the state. It's not climate change. It's forest mismanagement. Like the climate is not causing more forest fires. It's the mismanagement of the national parks and not burning the undergrowth, like Chad just said. Mm-hmm. That's the issue. But they'll blame absolutely anything other than the actual truth. It's like, look, the price of homeowners have skyrocketed, like in California, definitely 50%. Here in the state of Oklahoma, 40%. Like, you could not have the same house built that you had, before COVID struck.
Yeah. Well, here's also, if we want to delve into like conspiracy theory levels, you can see, if you're watching, if you can see the little like map I have of all the fires, it kind of makes like a perfect little line down to Southern California all the way up to Northern California. Mm-hmm. Somebody once said, and this is delving into huge conspiracy level territory, that's actually similar path to that high-speed railway they were talking about building.
Oh my gosh.
So that is one conspiracy theory level that I've heard about, that being why those forest fires were happening. Now, here's the other thing is about conspiracy theories is what we learned from conspiracy theories. Just wait a couple of years and they usually turn up to be true.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's crazy right now, and this will affect everyday citizens. It's going to hurt everyday people, and I'm sorry, but I mean, this is just the way it is. The insurance game, they look at actuaries, and they have people that come together that look at, and they go, hey, in order to be profitable, we have to charge this amount in this zip code. That's just the way it is.
Insurance is risk management assessors.
Mm-hmm.
If they look at something, they go, yeah, this isn't worth the risk. You either have two options. One, we can either leave and not insure this at all, or two, your rates are going to be astronomical if we stay.
Absolutely. And farmers, they offset, like they don't do business on the coast anymore. Farmers decide to be a Midwest company. They could not handle the hurricanes. They couldn't offset the losses. So if you're experiencing a rate increase through farmers, it's because they're offsetting all the losses they had from the houses they insured on the coasts.
Which is also one of those weird situations where an insurance company, like you're wondering why an insurance company was super cheap and they left. You're like, what? Why did they leave me? Well, it's because they didn't want to justify raising your rate like 20, 30, 50% on you. So they're like, well, let's not piss people off.
Yeah.
Let's just leave the state and get the heck out of here. While
they wanted to be
good.
the competitive new dog in the market for a year or two, and then realized that they couldn't actually have a profitable loss income from the amount of people that filed claims. They're like, we can't be profitable here, especially at this price, so we got to leave. And we not only have to leave, we have to up the price of insurance in the Midwest and have these people offset our losses.
Yeah, which we're not saying that they can't do that. Like, I mean, that's a fair business practice, especially for an up-and-coming insurance company. That's probably the only way you can, try to manage to even stay in business, much less, get your name, brand, and recognition out there. But at the same time, it's like, would we rather just leave the state and tell people we'll be back with cheap rates again in like a few years,
yeah.
Or piss everybody off by raising their rates like 50%?
Yeah, it's not good. This is what over legislation will do. I mean, they've artificially kept the rates down in California, and now you're feeling the cost. And not only are you going to feel the cost, hundreds of thousands of people in California are scrambling to find an insurance company who will actually write them, and they're not even going to get. Well, they're about to figure out what a fair market price looks like now in this economy, because California, you've not been paying your fair share of the insurance market for a very long time.
Yeah, especially now that we found out how much like wildfire insurance actually is supposed to be versus the super low amount that they've had for so long, and then the insurance companies were like, okay, this is happening way too often in California, and it's eating up too much money, so we've got to do something. Something's got to give here.
Yeah. So, again, folks here in Oklahoma, I know like a lot of this probably doesn't really matter to you, but just remember, just because your rates are going up, don't be that person that's I've never filed a claim or done that. Your money is pulled in with hundreds of thousands of other people, and if your zip code is the one that experiences the lion's share of the claims, your rates are going to go up too. And not only are your rates going to go up, they're going to offset those losses in that area through the rest of the state as well.
Yep.
Now, there are certain zip codes that'll have slightly better rates to go. This area never has any claims.
Yep.
That might be the better spot to be, but it's just the nature of the beast. It's how insurance works.
Well, it's also like, when they made insurance mandatory, whenever auto insurance,
yeah,
whenever
there's
mandatory.
no need to be competitive anymore.
Exactly. There's no need to be competitive, but the issue is like insurance companies could kick out those people that were causing your rates to go up. Now, with insurance being mandatory by the state and federal government, guess what? Now they can't. We can't kick people out of your book of business. And even if they can, which they do, all they do is they leave, and then the insurance department goes, oh, well, we're just going to assign you to a random book of business in the state. So they just come right back.
Yeah, maybe not to your book of business or maybe not to that particular company, but they force an insurance provider to give them coverage, period.
Yeah, but we're going a little long if you want to go ahead and wrap it up with this right here.
So we just wanted to make you aware that rate increases are not that crazy. I mean, here in the state of Oklahoma, the highest I've seen is 40%. But California, they're going up as high as 50%, and they're going out to be experiencing some major inflation coming over there with all their policies. So
100%.
So it's not just you here in Oklahoma. It's not just you. I know everybody's trying to budget and do their own thing, but I just wanted to make you aware and keep you informed about what's going on, the reasons as to why it's happening. So keep that in mind. This is the Twins with Owasso. Yeah.
I just wanted to do this real quick. Cause if you also wanted to see what was going on during the 4th at a pro-Palestine event, you can see right here, burning of an American flag during the 4th. So these are the people that we're allowing to protest, and come into our country. These are those refugees and asylum seekers coming to our nation. And this is what they're doing on the birthday of America, basically.
Yeah. These are the people that should be on the first. Anybody at these protests should be first on the list of people to get kicked out of the country. Period. I don't want people like this who would celebrate the death of Jewish people and celebrate the downfall of America and chant death to America. It's like, you live in America. Why are you chanting death to America? It's because they want an Islamic caliphate to be built here in this country.
Yeah.
They don't want America. They want to turn our country into a crap hole that is what the Middle East looks like right now.
And then if you know anything about an Islamic caliphate, is anybody that's not Islamic is a slave, or a second-class citizen, at least, if not a slave.
Yeah. So, and that's the truth. There are only two countries that people go. There are two Islamic majority countries that people move to. Only two. That's the UAE and Dubai. Those are the only two countries that Westerners move to. Everywhere else, people are fleeing from. That's why Muslims make up a lion's share of economic migrants, because they know their countries are awful. So, yeah, that's another thing happening that just kind of makes you shake your head and be sick about it. But that's about all we've got for you today. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. God bless y'all.
See you later, everybody.